Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome once again to the southern wing of the Stink Bug Works. I was cleaning up the deck here after completing the M380 Twin Cat project. Well, it's not totally complete. I made change speed controls out on it and change motors. And as I was putting motors away, and I grabbed my box of in-runner motors, and I was about to put these motors away. And if you recall, I commented that this particular motor, which went into the tunnel jet, was longer than this motor. And this motor, I put the cooling coil from the motor of that guy that threw the rotor, but that's another thing. That this motor was longer than this motor. And they're both advertised as 2040 motors. So I'm thinking, oh, this is the right size of the 2040. So I order another 2040 motor for the tunnel jet in a 3,000 RPM per volt version. Now remember, this is like 4,500. I've got a 3,900, so I've got 4,500, 4,000, and this motor is, it's hard to read here, but it says 3,000. And get a load of this, boys and girls, we're back to the same length as this motor. And in fact, the same end bells. My guess is whoever made this motor. And this is the one from the guys called RC Echo. Now, they've been in business for a long time, and I've been buying stuff for them forever. They take forever to ship, but, you get exactly what they advertise. So there it is. And I think the wiring on this is a little better. Look at the quality of and size of the wiring compared to this other stuff. So anyway, one of the things I wanted to talk about is projects and such. I've got enough boats right now, and I may offer some of the older ones for a trade for something else. We'll see. But what I want to talk about is motors. I generally like to build around the parts that I have. And sometimes I acquire motors. I've got these two NeuMotors. They're both NeuMotors, and neither of them have been run for more than, 5 or 10 seconds at a whack just to check rotational direction and the fact that it's working. And this one I ordered from Steve and Lisa, the gal that takes your order, did not completely understand me, or more likely, I didn't make myself clear. What I wanted was an 1120/1/2 Y. What I got was an 1120/1.5 Y. What I should have said is I want an 1120/0.5 Y. So, my bad. So anyway, I have this motor. Now, what I was going to do with the 0.5 Y was put it in that American Dream hydroplane. As it is, it's got that Rocket 2968. And this is roughly the same size as the Rocket 2968. It's just a whole lot more efficient. It has a 5mm shaft. This is a monster motor, but with a KV of, what's the KV on this thing? It's like 1,500. This has got to go in a 6 to 8S boat. And I'm thinking if it were just in a little tiny narrow, it could be a speed demon on 6S and turn a pretty big prop. Or you could go to 8S, turn a small prop at insane RPMs. Oh, what problem do I have with that? Oh, my pond isn't even long enough for something like that to get up to speed. So anyway, I have this brand new NeuMotor and no place to put it. This is a 1506 1Y. KV is 5500. Again, this thing is a monster. And you know what it might do really well? With that high of a KV, it might make a cool drag boat motor if you used a gear drive to drive two counter-rotating props, just like they do on the full-size boats. Have one motor driving two props. That way, you could take advantage of this really high RPM, gear it down a bit so you can spin some legitimate-sized props, and this might make a hell of a drag motor. Now, this motor will consume batteries. Plan on at least 200 amps. And you might even want to go 300 on this, just because this is an amp eater when the way to use these motors is you got to get them up to where the RPM is up and the load is up to take advantage of the torque these things have and still get the efficiency. So a lot of it is just getting the right prop. So anyway, there's some thoughts. I should offer these motors up for trade. If any of you guys want to trade something for a new motor. And then, I've got all kinds of other things in here. This, I believe, is an old Mega motor. It's got a pretty high KV. And, this is another NeuMotor that doesn't have a home, but I'm going to give it a home. It's an 1112 1.5 Delta. So that, again, puts its KV up in the 4,000 range. So, again, a screamer. This is probably about 4,000 RPM per volt. I like Steve's motors. Now, I met Steve in, when was it? It was 1971. I was flying RC gliders out at Torrey Pines, and he came out, and he was young enough he didn't have a driver's license. So his mom had to drive him out to Torrey Pines. And he came out and he had some really nice gliders, and he was quite the pilot. And he was really knowledgeable. And we got to talking, and after a while, he mentioned electrics. Now, electrics had never even been heard of. But he mentioned, I know this guy named Bob Boucher, Astro Bob. And I went over to his shop, and now his shop was in his mom's garage down in Kensington. And we looked at some electric stuff, and there was an Astro 05 motor, and it was just one of those 540 can motors from China. But, it said Astroflight 05. And he also had a Leisure Electronics motor. Now, Steve was always on the cutting edge of electrics. Back before electrics were even understood, the Gas Club had a 25 class T6 pylon race. And so you would come with your T6 and a 0.25 gas engine, and you would race them. Well, Steve shows up with an Astro 25 powered T6. Now, the Astro 25 motor is about this big, and the T6 wasn't much bigger than this case. Suffice it to say, his airplane was 50 or 60 miles an hour faster than anything out there. And, of course, he walked away with first prize. I mean, just passed everybody. And they got all pissed off at him and said, "Don't you ever come back here with those electric planes." Yeah, Steve always was on the cutting edge of electrics, and his work with Aviox led him to make his own motors. And, I mean, he worries about the thickness of the laminations and getting the right kind of steel in the laminations and the right kind of copper in the wire and the right kind of magnets. And he tests this magnet versus that magnet with this gap and that gap. I mean, the guy tests the hell out of these things. So I know when you get one of Steve's motors, you're getting the best thing inside the tube that you can get. So I like Steve's motors. Nothing wrong with these. Nothing wrong with these. But there's a whole lot right with these. So anyway, I just thought I'd fill in the gap since Big B hasn't done videos for a while. I can't blame the guy for taking a break. He was making videos every day. And his wife, good God, his wife has to be a saint for letting him do that much. But the guy's he's got a family, a wife, a house, cars. He's got a job. And then on top of all that, he finds time to entertain us with model boats. Go ahead on, bro, So, yeah, go ahead. Take some time off. We still like seeing what's going on. I'm dying to see what he does with the little tunnel jet and that outrunner. I looked into the drivetrain on the ProBoat 17. That's actually a 3 millimeter shaft in that thing, not a 3.2 or 1/8 inch shaft. But 3 millimeter shafts are readily available from McMaster Car and Stock Drive Products and places like that, and they're cheap. So I could redesign the tunnel jet to use that stock hardware from that ProBoat model. The problem is, they discontinue that stuff. Really, all I would be using would be the couplers. I'd use the U-joint in there like they did in that boat. I'd make a different stuffing tube because I'll flatten the angle out and the drive shaft's going to be much longer. So let me know what you guys think. Would you like to see the tunnel jet re-engineered to use the stock drive system from the ProBoat 17 boat that Big B's doing? Or shall I continue down this line using the clamp-in whatever you want motors? I'm kind of leaning towards this just because it's so easy to swap motors. With the way Big B's doing it, you're going to be sort of not condemned, but you're going to be you're forever going to have to use that kind of motor, whereas this has some interchangeability. Okay, I guess that's enough. Until next time, jet out.